Welcome to Meaningful Mondays with the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, where we only know good people who do great things in our community. Whether you are a volunteer, a donor, or a nonprofit organization, each episode of Meaningful Mondays will celebrate you, our friends and neighbors who have a deep passion for and commitment to improving the quality of life for all in Middlesex County. So let's kick off the week with great conversations with remarkable people, businesses, and nonprofits making a difference right in our own backyard. All right. Well, welcome to Meaningful Mondays, everyone. The Community Foundation of Middlesex County only knows good people who do great things. And one of them is with us today, Lakisha Hyatt, the CEO of Connecticut Valley Hospital. You know, Lakisha, I admire you so much. Every time we get together, we get a chance to laugh and enjoy. But folks, those of you who are paying attention to this podcast, you should know that this lady is pretty special and very involved in the community. So we will kick it off with several questions, Lakisha, and then I'm going to stop talking and you're going to start. So number one, how'd you get involved in this field in the first place? Number two, tell us all about Connecticut Valley Hospital, because there are a lot of things from the past that I think people still remember, but we're going to move forward and really have you brag about what you've done since you've been there. How's that?
Excellent, excellent. Well, first, I just want to thank you, Cynthia, for this opportunity, because that's exactly what it is. It's an opportunity to share and to be with a wonderful person who I've had the opportunity to laugh with and share with, and just know that you have an inviting character that just allows people to be comfortable in your space. And so thank you for creating larger space for this to happen.
That was very nice, everybody, that she said I made people feel comfortable. I tease Lakisha and get her laughing. That's it.
You do. You do. Well, that's what makes you comfortable. So I don't know what that means. So anyway, a little bit about how I came here. So I grew up in New Haven. I'm not going to go all the way to 1974 for the year of my birth, but so my background in healthcare, I was a home health aide and a nursing aide, but as a registered nurse, and then continued my studies from UConn to Yale for my advanced practice degree in nursing and mental health, psychiatric mental health, as well as hospital administration. And that's what led me to, I always was serving in the state of Connecticut. My family is a service family, so a strong military background. And it was either you're going to serve the federal government or you're going to serve your country in the armed forces, or you're going to serve at the state level, but you're going to serve. And so with nursing, I decided to serve the state of Connecticut, and then just grew in that vein. I continued for a small period of time working for Hartford Healthcare. A period of time I worked for the Department of Developmental Services, but really wanted to be at the table, always wanted to be at the table where decisions were made, bringing my experiences of caring for individuals and the goal was to create an environment where you truly were caring for two groups: people who receive services and people who were delivering services. That's it. That's it. As you create a caring environment where you're constantly investing in those two groups of people. And that's the foundation or the platform for building community and in building a community of providing care.
So I'm going to stop you right there, and maybe we should go back to 1974, because I think I know it's fascinating to me that the environment you grew up in placed such an emphasis on serving and caring. So really tell us a little bit about that, because I'm hoping what everybody can learn, Lakisha, is we all can maybe learn some methods where we can teach others how to care, because obviously your family did. So
Yes, yeah.
tell us how that was ingrained in you.
Sure, sure. So my early years, I grew up in New Haven. I had my single mom was where I spent my school year, my mom and my brother, and I would spend summers where my dad was stationed. Those years, those early years were difficult years. You
Hmm.
know, I recently was able to do another interview, and I was explaining to someone, you know, the poverty line would hit me in the head. I didn't know how poor I was. I knew that I didn't have, but I was loved, and I was seen by in my home. And it was all a strong faith community also was
Hmm.
huge. And the essence of not having the way it was defined for me is when you don't have, you don't spend time focused on what you don't have. You focus on what you do have and how you can bring what you do have to somebody else. Now it's brought in two ways. You're bringing what you have to partner with someone else so we can build,
Right.
where you're bringing what you have to someone else who has less than so they can get some. But either way, you're bringing what you do have, and then you build. And that's what allowed, and education was huge. Education was huge. It was my teacher, Miss Thorpe, who, you know, being an introvert, and people don't believe me, but I've always been an introvert, being in that classroom where she said to me, you are smart. You are bright. There is something unique about you, and you're going to go that extra mile. Mr. Canalori, who was my debate teacher in 8th grade at Jackie Robinson in New Haven, who said, yes, you can go to these high schools, which are great, but you know, there is a private high school all the way up there in Westville on top of a hill. And I believe you have what it takes. And I had no money. There was no way I could afford it. But he said, don't worry about what you don't have. Show up, fill out the application, and bring what you do have.
Well,
Let's figure it out. I never could afford being there. But between work study and a lot of work study and a lot of scholarships and people just giving what they could to where I was headed. So,
so let me
yeah.
let me say, you just taught us in that, from 1974, let's say, to if I can add 18
Yeah.
to 1992. That's
Yes.
quite an incredible lesson. But I take away from that finding people to be your mentors
Oh my goodness.
and this is my takeaway. So those mentors thank a teacher because you obviously had several, and we often take that for granted.
Nice.
Being grateful,
Huge.
practicing that. And then last but certainly not least, I know how much education means to you. So those are the wonderful ingredients that if we mix it all up, it'll come out with the most delicious cake in the whole wide world. But then again, I don't cook. But
Priceless.
that is really amazing. So
Yeah.
let us hope that we all can be mentors and sort of stretch someone's imagination to
Yeah.
what can possibly happen. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that was
Yes.
great, Lakeisha. You better write
Yes.
that down and write a memoir.
Okay, if you partner with me, how about
I
that?
promise I will partner with you. So let's fast forward from 18, you've graduated, you have this education to how long have you been at CVH, Connecticut Valley
Oh
Hospital?
my goodness. Well, I started Connecticut Valley Hospital maybe about 19 years ago now because my daughter's 22.
Eve,
So, yeah,
whom I have adopted as my
yes,
surrogate
yes,
niece.
yes, yes,
She's
yes, yes,
amazing.
yes. So started so I went there, I think it's 2005, thereabouts,
Okay.
in a variety of roles I've been able to serve. And I remember I grew up in New Haven, and so I'm arriving at this hospital that everyone talked about but didn't really talk about. You know, it was the
Mhm.
place in Middletown. And not so nice words were used back there. whether referring to the individuals receiving services is crazy or insane, or the asylum, but the scary place. And I remember I grew up in New Haven, so I had just graduated from Yale, and I was a leadership apprentice when I arrived. And I arrived excited to change the narrative, because what I saw and I still hear this today, Cynthia, when I arrived on the campus, what I saw was different than what I'd heard. What I saw was different than things I had even said. Like, that's a scary place. But what brought me there is I had served in state government. I'd worked in another Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services facility, had given wonderful care, and now had an opportunity to serve on a grander scale. And this is the flagship now hospital for the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. 361 beds, 17 units across 2 campuses, one in Hartford, one here in Middletown. So now I arrive and I'm excited to make a difference. And I'm even more excited now. You would think my energy would go down, but now at 50, it hasn't. But I'm still excited. And I arrived excited to change the narrative. And so I get there and I'm excited about programming. I'm excited. We're launching this bilingual program, and I get to be the program director, and this bilingual services and programming development. It's awesome. So I fast forward, I serve in various roles, right? I'm program manager. I serve as division director, chief of patient care services. I previously was a treatment team coordinator, of course, a registered nurse, and then chief operating officer, and now chief executive officer. And now I get to all the way from leadership apprentice, and the first at the hospital ever serve in that capacity. And now I get to I'm thankful for first, because I now need to make sure that there are others, right? So now I serve as the first African-American woman, right, as CEO for the hospital. And I'm not bragging, just thankful. And the goal is to now arrive, and it's the same objective: be at the table where the decisions are made, and make sure that you remember what it was like to provide the care. So be a voice for the 2 groups, the people receiving the care and the people who are giving it. That's it. Is shape the work where those 2 groups are invested in. So that's what I do now.
You have a wonderful way, Lakisha, of boiling everything down to the simplest platform. The 2 groups: serving,
That's right.
thankful, gratitude, all those simple things. What would you say have been your most challenging / opportunities that you've faced since you've been at CVH? That was not a grammatically proper
It was perfect.
sentence.
It was perfect.
But I think you know what I'm asking.
I got it. One of the hardest things, and you touched on it, of course, I want to talk about being a leader in healthcare in the midst of the pandemic. Of course, I want to talk about that, of course. But I believe that you can talk to any leader and get a similar story about the terror and the panic and the evolution and the growth and the challenges and the loss and the struggles. You're going to hear that. I think, to your question, though, when I think about Connecticut Valley Hospital, one of the hardest things, and it's because I feel it as their CEO and I feel it as a woman of color. One of the hardest things at Connecticut Valley Hospital is shifting the narrative. Is one of the hardest things. Imagine as a mom or watching someone you love, and they're being defined in a way that's outside of their character. It hits you in your gut every time you hear it. So imagine as a woman of color, and you're defined based on a narrative of a preconceived notion, not given access because of a preconceived notion that is inaccurate and inconsistent with who you know you are. That is what I continue and will continue to stand against for Connecticut Valley Hospital. That,
Well, all right, so let's change the narrative right now.
let's do it.
You define Connecticut Valley Hospital as it is today
Today.
and the vision that you have, and we'll start, forget the past, we're moving forward. So let's change the narrative right now.
Perfect. Connecticut Valley Hospital is a Joint Commission accredited hospital that is committed and that delivers literally best practice, research, evidence-based practices for the delivery of psychiatric and substance abuse services for individuals requiring inpatient hospitalization. It is a temporary location where individuals go through a process of recovery and healing like a hospital. Individuals undergo trauma-informed, person-centered services that focus on identifying the strengths of the individual, using those strengths as the primary tools to help someone grow to their next level. And then we cultivate, create with them so that they can return to their next level of independence in the community.
That was brilliant. We have it on recording now. You can use that. So let's talk about an individual who's there.
Yes.
So you bring the caring.
Yes.
And the caring on so many levels, and you have the staff to do an individualized approach.
Yes. So we're well staffed to provide the individualized service, specifically psychiatric services. Every clinical team has a psychiatrist, a psychologist, multiple rehab therapists. They have, of course, registered nurses and mental health assistants. In addition, we have vocational counselors. Our vocational programs include our greenhouse, our Valley View restaurant, our boutique, our consignment boutique, as well as community reintegration vocational services. We have occupational therapy services that provides the host of living skills, independent, developing strategies and services so that individuals have those foundational cooking skills, cleaning skills, ADL skills. So they're returning as strong, competent individuals into the community. We have individuals offering dialectical behavioral therapy.
What is that?
DBT is simply a service that helps individuals that may struggle with borderline personality disorder, helping them to understand their diagnoses and receive the skill development to better function within the community. We have individuals that are receiving the rehabilitation services programs specifically. Of course, you understand the basics of social skills and those things that help individuals to better deal with their anger, but we're doing fun and innovative things like how to balance your checkbook or how to bank online, all of those important realities that we may not think about, making sure individuals know how to take the bus from city to city, making sure that individuals understand what does AI mean? Because maybe individuals are just starting to use computers in the ways that you and I are using them. So really building out their skill set in ways that are innovative and apropos to today's reality.
My gosh, you do a lot. So I want you to repeat again because I really want people to understand. We're going to dispel the myths about CVH and we're going to change the narrative. So say it one more time, what CVH is today and where you're moving forward. And I don't mean to say I'm not filling time, but I really want, if you're like me, you have to hear something several times before it really sinks in.
Yes, yes. Connecticut Valley Hospital is the largest freestanding psychiatric and substance abuse facility within the state of Connecticut. We are committed and we deliver recovery-oriented, trauma-informed services that aid individuals in resuming that next level of functioning that they have the potential to resume. Individuals no longer remain in the hospital for years and years on end. It is a freestanding, Joint Commission accredited hospital where individuals come in and receive person-centered services unique to their strengths, using their strengths to engage them and facilitate recovery.
Perfect. Person-centered care.
Person-centered, strength-based.
That is fabulous.
That's the
So we're going to just take a step away from CVH and say,
yes.
so I hear, and I know because I hear through the grapevine that you're so committed to this community. So tell everybody, in addition to being the CEO, what else are you doing to serve, which is in your DNA, we know, and to give back to the community?
So I am honored, very humbled to serve in a couple of capacities. One, I serve now as the president for the Middletown Rotary. Very excited. We just had our strategic planning session. So we're really focused on the rebuild of membership, engaging our community, but just true to who I am, serving our community to the point where one Tuesday per month, we're no longer having a meeting. We're going to get out into Middletown and put our hands where our hands are needed.
Good.
And so in addition to service, we of course have our huge fundraising because we need to increase the amount of scholastic and scholarship initiatives that we're doing, particularly as I just had the opportunity to meet with the superintendent of schools, Dr. Vasquez Matos. And as I was preparing for strategic planning, there is need in the school systems. They're needing to recover from some of the gaps that they experience, some of the fallback that experience with the pandemic. And there are so many wonderful initiatives that the scholarships can aid within. So we got to build that up some. So we have our carnival coming October 24th. So excited about that. That's a fundraiser, but we're going to have a great deal of fun. I'm hoping to also have some high school students out there. We can really do some things for our students as well as our community through that event. And so we're also focused on just rebuilding the club. We have lined up a number of speakers to help us reconnect with the community because I don't want to just do and give. I want to give where I'm meeting a measurable need. If we're going to give, if we're going to affect change, by the time this year that I'm able to serve in this role is done in June of 2025, there should be evidence of measurable growth. That's how I believe we have grown the hospital, by establishing growth outcomes that we can see and measure and feel. Same thing with Rotary, outcomes that we can see, measure, and feel. So that's one service area. I also serve on the United Way Board of Directors and the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. So just serve. That's it.
And I don't know where you find the time.
That's it. Just put my hand there. The key, and people say that all the time, the key is when you know where what your calling is, and I'm not trying to be in deep, but when you know what you're supposed to do in this world, I know I'm supposed to serve, and then you align your service areas together. So we're just overlapping. Where I show up at the table, I bring everything, all the areas where I serve, so they connect. So I'm not scattered and doing 25 million things in 25 different pockets of the world. They're all serving Middletown. They're all serving Connecticut in the area of mental health and recovery. And that's our theme. That's the Rotary's theme, literacy, academic development specifically, and mental health awareness is the theme for this year.
Well, can we clone you?
No, you don't want to clone me. I come with
think that
strengths
would be
and
a simple
challenges.
solution to everything, Lakisha. I really do. So my last question, or our two last questions. So what haven't I asked that you wish I had asked? That's number one. And then number two, with all that you have going on, what are you planning to do in the next couple of months? Or did you just outline everything?
The thing that I want to say that I may not have said, and I say this wherever I go because someone said it to me. I really want people to know, I want them to hear my accomplishments. I want them to hear my commitment to service, but I want you to hear it with the backdrop of somebody telling me that I see you and that you're valuable and that you can. And not cliche, but looking you eyeball to eyeball and saying, I believe in you and I see you. And that's what I want to be delivered wherever this goes, to whomever needs to hear it. And then your final question, I cannot remember. Oh, where am I going from here?
So in the next couple of months, going to the beach, which I know you love.
Love it. Love it. In the next couple of months, what is to come? Well, in the next couple of months, Connecticut Valley Hospital is continuing to be great and delivering services. People will see their value, people in recovery and the people who are serving more and more. We will see, we just opened our STAR program, Sisters Together Achieving Recovery, another 30 beds of rehab services. That program is soaring. It's like stars soar. You know how there are falling stars, there are rising stars. So that star is going to soar. In the next couple of months, Rotary is going to build greater awareness in the community about mental health, like never, and voice will be given. And it's okay to say, I'm not okay. Middletown Rotary will help people to understand that, and we'll invest in more young people. And I'll continue to show up and encourage people to be great.
You'll continue to show up and be great, period. My goodness. So I hope that you will share this podcast with everybody. And we certainly will. So that the narrative may have started to change about CVH, but I think you've already started that. I thank you for serving. I thank you for caring. I thank you for being here. So folks, Meaningful Monday is really off to a great start with Lakisha Hyatt, CEO of Connecticut Valley Hospital. Thank you, Lakisha.
You are the best. Cynthia, you're the best. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Meaningful Mondays. At the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, we know that philanthropy matters and philanthropy works. Together, we support the arts, education, human services, animal welfare, the environment, heritage enhancements, and so much more by providing services, programs, and grants to our local nonprofits. We invite you to learn more and share your passion with us. Visit us at Middlesex County CF.org or contact us at 860-347-0025. Together we can make great things happen.